is Africa in 10 minutes. Join us as we bring to you the top business stories reported on Footprint Africa this week. I'm Chamaka J. Uwadoka, and these are the headlines. Rwanda European Investment Bank floats €56 million credit line to lift private sector. Safaricom cuts data roaming charges in 12 African countries. Africa's regional integration progress to be monitored on new ECA index. Uganda secures €16 million from the European Union to boost commercial forestry value chain. Ghana rice farmers adopt e-banking. The United Nations tasks Africa to drive its third industrial development decade. French shipping company improves Europe-West Africa coverage. Nigerian stakeholders urge government to ban tomato paste import. The African Development Bank takes housing and agri sectors for intervention. East African businesswomen seek improved policies for cross-border trade. And now the news in detail. The European Investment Bank has agreed to support a new lending initiative by the Bank of Kigali to back private sector investment across Rwanda. The European Investment Bank will provide €28 million, and under the new initiative, private sector entrepreneurs and companies will be able to use loans in Rwandan francs to invest and expand activities across a range of sectors. In other news, Safaricom has reduced its call and data roaming charges by up to 99% for more than 200 networks in 52 countries across the globe. The announcement comes at a time when statistics from the Communications Authority of Kenya (CA) show a decline in mobile voice traffic and volume of short messages received from other countries. The new rates will be applicable on both prepay and postpay services. In foreign affairs, the progress of Africa's regional integration efforts will be monitored by the Economic Commission for Africa (ECA) on its African Integration Index (ARII). The ARII is a product of strong collaboration of the African Union Commission (AUC), African Development Bank, and the ECA. The index seeks to provide a means for tracking progress in terms of different dimensions of regional integration, including trade, movement of people, productive capacity, monetary and financial integration, and infrastructure. It is intended to be dynamic, interactive, and to improve over time as more reliable data becomes available. In East Africa, the European Union (EU) has granted €16 million to fund the Solog Production Grant Scheme Phase 3, also known as the SPGS-3. SPGS is a tree planting project by the Ugandan government that seeks to fight poverty by increasing the income of the country's rural population. It is operated under the Ministry of Water and Environment. SPGS-3 is organized to ensure efficiency in processing and utilizing Solog products such as electricity poles and materials for paper. It is also aimed at fighting the effects of climate change occasioned by intense afforestation. In Ghana, Rice Mobile Finance Project by the Visa Foundation in partnership with Tigo Cash has made business transactions convenient for the local rice farmers in the Eastern and Volta region. Due to this initiative, the farmers say they no longer experience delay in payments from aggregators and buyers. Eric Glatze, a rice farmer in the Pong district, explained that he has been able to pay workers on time and purchase supplies through Tigo Cash. The United Nations General Assembly unanimously adopted a resolution proclaiming the period 2016 to 2025 as the third industrial development decade for Africa. By the terms of the resolution, the General Assembly called on the United Nations Industrial Development Organization and other key institutions to develop, operationalize, and lead the implementation of the program for the third decade in accordance with its mandate and through voluntary contributions. French container shipping company CMA CGM has upgraded its Europe 4 and Europe 5 services connecting Europe and West Africa by improving the Europe 4 with weekly calls at Bata and Malabo and the Europe 5 with a direct call in Cameroon, both effective July 26. In addition, direct service from the West Mediterranean to Equatorial Guinea will have shortened transit time up to 6 days. In Nigeria, stakeholders have urged the government to take drastic steps in bolstering investments in local manufacturing towards attaining self-sufficiency and creating more jobs. They called on the federal government of Nigeria to support local production of tomato paste, pointing out that this would help the country boost local consumption. They also added that agriculture can play a vital role in the economic development of Nigeria, stressing that manufacturing and industrialization are the key drivers for growth and economic transformation for any nation. The Vice President of the African Development Bank has revealed that Tanzania will benefit in 5 of the bank's priority focus areas, which include assistance in energy production, industry development, food security, livelihood improvement, and integration of Africa in 2017. He said that the African Development Bank has identified 3 areas for funding through CRDB Bank starting next year. This includes construction of residential houses, provision of loans for development of agriculture and economic viable areas in the country. And finally this week, businesswomen from the East African bloc have called on the various governments of the region to come up with policies to remove barriers women face in cross-border trading. Mary Muthoni, the chairperson of Women in Business Committee at Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry (KNCCI), urged regional governments to give more support to women in business to enhance entrepreneurship and ensure equitable and sustainable development. She noted that women entrepreneurs have limited access to affordable credit and lack skills required to provide innovative products or services. That wraps up this week's top stories. We'll be back with a recap of the headlines. Rwanda European Investment Bank floats €56 million credit line to lift private sector. Safaricom cuts data roaming charges in 12 African countries. Africa's regional integration progress to be monitored on new ECA index. Uganda secures €16 million from the European Union to boost commercial forestry value chain. Ghana rice farmers adopt e-banking. The United Nations tasks Africa to drive its 3rd industrial development decade. French shipping company improves Europe-West Africa coverage. Nigerian stakeholders urge government to ban tomato paste import. The African Development Bank takes housing and agri sectors for intervention. East African businesswomen seek improved policies for cross-border. To keep up with the trending business news of the week, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and connect with us on LinkedIn. These news and reports are called From Footprint to Africa. For daily updates and more business news in Africa, visit www.footprintafrica.com today. Footprint Africa, business news made in Africa by Africans.